Good afternoon. Thank you so very much for joining us today. We welcome you to this broadcast. My name is Rob Fabian with Age of Central Texas, and we are very happy to be partnering today with the City of Buda Task Force for Seniors. And we're so happy to be bringing you this caregiving workshop to help celebrate National Family Caregiving Month. For the past 35 years, Age of Central Texas has been offering resources, education, and support for family caregivers throughout our region. And we're really excited to be able to partner with the City of Buda today to help bring even more wonderful resources to our area. A little bit of housekeeping on what's going to happen today. We're going to have the presentation, and then at the end of the presentation, we're going to answer your questions. So if you look right down here, there's a little chat button. If you click on it, it brings up the chat box. And we would like you to ask your questions during the presentation. When the presentation is over, then we are going to have a facilitated discussion, and we are going to answer all of your questions. Now, we are scheduled to run until an hour and a half. If for some reason we get so many questions that we can't answer all of them during our allotted time, don't worry. We are still going to answer your question. We will contact you directly via email, and we will give you the answer to your question. So feel free to ask all the questions that you want today, because this is for you. This is why we're doing this. We want to provide you with the resources, with the education, with the knowledge and the skills to help you be a better caregiver. We know that things are really difficult right now, and that our new normal is nowhere near normal. And so things are really rough for caregivers. And so that's why we want to give you a chance to learn some new skills, get some great new information, and ask your questions so that we can help you directly. Later this afternoon, we're going to send you a follow-up email, and we're going to include 3 things in that email that we want you to know about. Number 1, we're going to send you a survey, and we would like you to fill that out and send it back to us. It's going to be very simple, only take about 2 minutes, but the information helps us a lot. That way we can get better at this process. We've only been doing these virtual seminars since the middle of the summer. And so it's kind of a new world for us too. So give us your feedback. Let us know how we're doing. On that same note, because we are virtual and we are kind of learning as we go on this, if we have any technical glitches along the way, if something happens on your side and you get kicked out of this, don't worry. We are recording this session, and we're going to post it on YouTube later tonight. And we'll also send you that link so that you'll have that information as well. Then also we're going to send you a PDF of caregiver resources. We have combined some great information for you that we want you to have. And so we're going to send that to you this afternoon so that you'll have that available, so that you can look back at that later and have that as a resource. Included in that is also going to be a flyer for a falls prevention course that we're going to be offering next week. It's going to be virtual as well, and it's going to be a great opportunity for older adults to learn about falls prevention. As you know, falls are one of the #1 causes of death and injury for older adults throughout the U.S., and falls are preventable. And so we have some great information on how to prevent those falls and how to keep yourself and your loved ones safe. So we're going to send you the information on that free seminar that's taking place next week. So now we are really excited to have our presenters join us. Faith Unger and Lori Hill are both with the Age of Central Texas Caregiver Caregiver Education Program. We offer caregiver programs and education seminars throughout the 4-county region, and that happens year-round. We have pivoted because of COVID, since we can't do our in-persons, to presenting a lot of wonderful virtual programming. And so Faith and Lori have created this wonderful, wonderful seminar that we're going to present for you today. So I am going to turn it over to Faith and let her start our presentation.
Caring for another person is hard work, but it's noble work, and you are to be commended for the work. The work comes with many rewards and much fulfillment, but also stress. That stress is hard on the caregiver and takes away from enjoying life. Thus, we want to help you care for another with less stress. That is our end goal for today. Caregiving is especially stressful during the time of COVID. So after addressing the stress issue in general, we will apply it directly to the out of ordinary time in which you are currently caregiving. "36% of family caregivers characterize their situation as highly stressful. Among people aged 55 to 75, those who are caregivers show a 23% higher level of stress hormones. Stress is real and it is present." As I ask some questions about stress, I'll do the answering, but it might be good for you to use the chat feature and think about the questions and answer them as they apply to you. Where do you feel it? Oh, I always feel it in my neck and my shoulders, and sometimes in the stomach. What do you look like when you're stressed? I think I probably look scary. How do you act when you get stressed? I'm kind of scatterbrained when I get stressed, and I tend to talk too fast. So what causes you to be stressed? For me, usually it's too much to do in too little time. For many years, I cared for my husband in our home, and his bath time signaled the end of my caregiver workday. He could still bathe himself, so while he was in the shower, I had a bit of wine, watched a little TV. I smiled, remembering the day. He came out of the shower dressed in his pajamas, and we then did our nightly tuck in the bed routine. I felt like I still had something to give him at that time of the day. Oh, it was a happy time. Then came the day when he could no longer bathe himself, and putting on pajamas was challenging. I lost my happy time and added new tasks. I also lost some patience. I wonder, what could I have done to not be so stressed at that time? Well, just before his bath time, he watched a TV show. Perhaps I could have watched it with him, laughed a little bit, and de-stressed a little bit. Caregivers are real people, and they have limits. To make caregiving more reasonable, one needs to identify exactly what is reasonable and to set that as a boundary. And then access resources to meet the needs beyond the line of what is reasonable. The resources do not have to be caregiving resources, but they can cover other jobs like lawn care, cleaning, running errands, picking up groceries. Sometimes the amount that is reasonable can actually be increased if one cares well for self. Fill the well and it will have more capacity. The stress of getting him dressed, fed, medicined, and on the bus to the adult daycare, plus the stress of working all day, plus the stress of commuting, plus the stress of greeting him at the door, plus the stress of, well, You get it. It all adds up. But when one takes a break, the sum is erased or greatly diminished, and the work begins anew with much less accumulation. It is this accumulation that is what causes burnout. It's caused by too much long-term stress, a feeling of being overwhelmed, a feeling that one can't possibly meet the constant demands. And over time, the interest or the motivation leaves. That's usually when a caregiver stops caring. Look at all those symptoms. Are you feeling any of those, or maybe several of those? You can become healthier and happier. Your smile and your can-do attitude can return. Lori will now give you information to help you transition from burnout to health and wellness.
So what if you are already burned out? What can you do first to begin to move from burnout back to health? Well, you can start by taking some baby steps. Each day, make it a priority to do one small thing from each of these: physical health, social connections, time for yourself. Think about yourself and your situation. What is one small step that you can take towards improving your physical health? Could you say, today, I'm going to maybe drink a little more water, or go to bed 30 minutes earlier, or do some exercising? SeniorPlanet.org offers free exercise classes over Zoom each day. Now, you may not be able to stay for an entire class, but it's a start. Social connections. Could you say, today, I'm going to call a friend, have a backyard visit with my neighbor, or text someone that I've been meaning to catch up with? Even connecting for a few minutes each day is important. And what about time for yourself? Could you say, today, I'm going to read a magazine for 10 minutes, or sit outside for some fresh air, or work on a puzzle? Think of something that is just for you that can recharge your battery. It can be something very small, but even small things can make a big difference. Now, you may need to write these things down on a Post-it note or calendar or to-do list, but please make it a priority to take small steps each day to help yourself feel better. Now let's look at some ways to bring down stress and help avoid caregiver burnout. First, get organized. Next slide, please. Being organized is a wonderful stress reducer. Think of how much less stress you feel when you know where things are, when you have a plan, and when you know where to get information and help. I recommend that you create a binder. Have all your information about your care receiver in one place. Think about documents and information that are important to keep track of and that you are going to need most often. For example, insurance information, a list of your care receiver's doctors with the phone numbers and their specialty, any legal forms that you need. If you are the medical power of attorney for your care receiver, that would be a good form to have handy in your binder. Now, your binder will most likely grow as you think of things to include, but being well organized will save you time and it will bring down your stress level. Build a network of resources. Have a list of people and organizations that you can go to for help and information. We're going to be providing you a list of phone numbers and websites of community and national organizations that may be helpful for you. Hopefully, That's going to be a good start to building your network of resources. And be sure that you also include service providers who you have found to be useful in the past. That way you aren't constantly on the hunt to find names and numbers of companies who've done good work for you. Build a solid medical team. Trying to assemble a care team during a crisis is extremely stressful. It's important to have a medical team, including specialists, in place as soon as possible. Get necessary documents such as HIPAA forms signed with each office, and make sure that you're keeping those regular checkup appointments so that the doctors are up to speed with your person's health and progress. Having a good medical team in place will really benefit you and your care receiver should an unexpected issue or illness occur. And create a backup plan. I have a friend whose neighbor fell down the stairs and ended up in the ICU. That neighbor was a caregiver for her husband who has dementia. There was no plan in place, so the neighbors had to pitch in and try to figure out what to do. If there had been a plan in place, there would have been much less stress. No one expects to have an accident or an unexpected illness, but sometimes it happens. So make a plan for who will care for your person if you are unable to. Consider your options. Do you have a family member who you would feel comfortable with to step in? If not, could you hire in-home care? Or would you need a long-term care community? If you decide to use some kind of paid care, go through the intake process early on so that in case of an emergency, your care receiver is already in their system. For paid care, you may want to choose 2 options and go through the intake process for both so that you have a backup. And make sure that you ask about their protocol for COVID-19 so that you're aware of that also. Next slide, please. Create a routine. And by routine, I simply mean doing the same activities around the same time each day. Having a routine is good both for you and for your care receiver. Routines are especially important during the time of COVID-19 as it provides some sense of normalcy. And routines create a sense of consistency and what comes next. This will help you stay organized and get through your day with much less stress. Most people, including care receivers, don't like surprises. So once a routine becomes a natural part of the day, your care receiver will also be able to be mentally prepared for the next activity, and they'll be a little more likely to go with the flow. A whiteboard can really come in handy when learning a new schedule, especially for someone with dementia, as it serves as a reminder of what comes next throughout the day, and it may even cut down on some repeated questions. Routines reduce decision-making as well. Having to make even minor decisions all day long can be draining. Sticking to a routine enables you to cut down on the number of decisions that you have to make so that you can spend your mental energy on more important things. Routines also improve sleep. Sleep is very important for good health and overall well-being. Many experts recommend that you go to sleep and wake up at the same time each day. So it's recommended to work a regular sleep schedule into your routine for better sleep. And don't forget to build in time for enjoyment. It's common to go through the day and forget to take time to recharge your battery. Build in micro breaks throughout your day, even if it's only for 5 or 10 minutes, to do something relaxing and that you enjoy. I mentioned this a few minutes ago when talking about doing at least one small thing for yourself each day. This is a very important part of self-care, which all caregivers need as a way to avoid burnout. Next slide, please. Thank you. Ask for help. Nobody can do everything, and it's not good for you to try. Please ask for assistance from others if you need it, and give yourself permission to accept help when offered. Give others the gift of being able to help you. Right now, it may be difficult to get caregiving help because of social distancing. Some caregivers have someone who can come help out with caregiving during this time, and others don't. Even if you aren't able to get direct caregiving help right now, you still may be able to get help with other tasks and get some things off of your very full plate. It's good to make a wish list of things that would be nice to have help with. So if someone asks you if there's anything they can do, you'll be ready with some options. What are a couple of things that would go on your wish list? Maybe having someone drop off a meal from time to time, or mowing your lawn once a month, getting a package to the post office, or running some other kind of errand. Give it some thought and consider your options. Take care of yourself. And I know that we hear this all the time, but it really is important. Make sure that you're eating a healthy diet. What you put in your body every day really does impact your overall health and how you feel. It's also best to try to sit and enjoy your meal. It may be hard to force yourself to do so, but try to get in the habit of not eating on the run. Exercise is a stress reliever and your body needs it. Sometimes it's hard to work exercise into your schedule, but try. Walking is always good, and there are options for joining a live exercise class online or even doing a 10-minute video on YouTube. Do whatever works for you, but do something. And we mentioned sleep before. Sleep is very important and it needs to be a priority. Without good sleep, it's hard to focus, make decisions, and be patient. Getting less than 7 hours of sleep on a regular basis can also have some physical consequences, such as high blood pressure, heart problems, and obesity. If the person that you're caring for is having sleep issues that are affecting your sleep, then it's time to address this with their doctor. Make sure you are getting regular vaccines and checkups and address any medical concerns that you may have. Just as you place high importance on making sure that your care receiver gets medical care, make sure that you are doing the same for yourself. When medical issues are ignored, they have a way of getting worse, and they end up becoming more costly in the end. If you are unable to leave your house right now, consider making a telehealth appointment with your doctor so that you can get your needs met. And never ignore mental health. Poor mental health contributes to burnout. Caregiving on its own is stressful, and now we add in the stress of dealing with the pandemic. Stress during an infectious disease outbreak can sometimes cause the following: fear and worry about your own health and the health of your loved ones, your financial situation or job, or loss of support services that you once relied on, changes in sleep or eating patterns, difficulty sleeping or concentrating, worsening of chronic health problems, worsening of mental health conditions, and an increased use of tobacco, alcohol, or other substances. Please call your healthcare provider if you find that stress or mental health issues such as depression or anxiety are interfering with your daily activities for several days in a row. Talk about it. Having someone to talk about your caregiving situation during this time is vital. Hopefully, you have a friend or family member to talk to, a trusted venting buddy, if you will, who is always there to listen, but not everyone has a person like that in their life. If not, seek support elsewhere. Contacting a professional such as a counselor can be very helpful. Many counselors are using video platforms to meet with clients from the safety of their homes. And there are also hotlines with volunteers who are available. In the resources we will be sending out, there are phone numbers for some of these organizations that offer hotlines. Support groups are also a great way to get an opportunity to talk and gain support and ideas from other caregivers. They're not all one size fits all, so you may need to try different groups until you find one that fits your needs. Right now, many support groups are meeting online. We'll also be providing you with the list of caregiver support groups that are currently meeting via video platform or by phone. Lastly, please make sure that you're using positive self-talk. I'm talking about the endless stream of thoughts that run through your head. Our brain really does listen to what we say to ourselves. Negative and critical self-talk is damaging, can prevent you from seeking solutions to problems, and sets the stage for depression. Talk to yourself the way you would talk to a much loved family member or friend. Give yourself grace as you are doing the very best you can in a difficult situation. If you're someone who tends to talk to yourself in a negative way, begin taking steps to reverse that. For example, if you catch yourself using statements like, "I'm just not good enough," or "all I do is deal with problems," stop yourself and combat those with positive statements, like, "I'm doing the very best I can in this situation," or "I've solved other problems, I'm going to solve this one too." It's also a good idea to start your day with positive affirmations about yourself and continue those affirmations throughout the day. Again, positive self-talk can be learned, and it is a very powerful stress reducer. Have realistic expectations. Control what you can. As you know, we don't have a lot of control right now. It's important to only focus on things that you do have some control over and let the rest go. You can control some things in your environment, and you can control how you react to situations. You cannot control other people and how they choose to react to situations. Trying to do so will only result in frustration for you. Set realistic goals. Break large tasks into smaller steps that you can do one at a time. Breaking down a large goal or task into smaller steps can make it more manageable and less overwhelming for you. Setting goals and seeking solutions to problems is important. Even making a small change can make an impact on a situation. Lastly, be accepting of what is. Sometimes, no matter how hard we try to solve a problem or change a situation, we're unsuccessful. If you find you're unable to solve a problem, take time to really think about it and decide whether you've done all that you can. Also consider reaching out to others for help, ideas, or suggestions. But if you decide that a problem is not solvable, try to be accepting of that. Move on and let it go. Remember that change is inevitable and nothing stays the same. You may find that you're able to solve the problem or situation at some point in the future.
All of the ideas presented for being a healthy caregiver are important, whether during COVID or during ordinary times. But it is the obstacles to doing them that really grows during the time of COVID. Perhaps during ordinary times, your care receiver attends respite care or adult daycare or has a regular caregiver in the home. Perhaps during ordinary times, you as the caregiver work outside the home or have regular activities which you attend, or who have friends who visit and help. When you have neither of those two situations, then what you have is a caregiver caring for someone 24/7 all alone. Caregiving 24/7 will set you up for becoming stressed and may lead to burnout. But we do have some ideas to help you. Not all of them will work for you, but our hope is that you will find a few ideas that may work. Ponder for a moment and list for yourself what your person is capable of doing with only casual supervision? Is there a room you can convert into a safe room for your person so that constant supervision is not needed and the space is appealing? Are there activities that you could put in there that the person could do alone, if only for a short bit of time? Things like maybe color sheets, puzzles, word finds, craft projects. Early in my caregiving, my adult children created a safe room for their father. He loved it. It was his space, and he made it his own, with pictures and a bulletin board, a table for him to sit at in front of the window to do his activities. The kids found an old boombox and some Willie Nelson and Elvis Presley CDs. Everything in there was safe and doable. And he felt that he owned the room. This was his man cave. I used to chuckle when I would hear him singing along with Elvis. And I'd look in the room and he'd be moving back and forth to the music. And he was happy because that was his kingdom. And so for a little bit of time, I could take a deep breath and not be so supervising him. He was happy. Building a routine can be helpful for both you and the care receiver. The care receiver will like the consistency in the day, especially if it's written on a whiteboard that he or she can see, and that you've written it very simply with words that he can understand and recognize quickly. My husband would frequently consult the board to make sure that we were doing our routine. And he would say, it's important that we do everything on here. For the caregiver, making a routine can allow one to include regular times of less intense caregiving. Let me start by giving you a few ideas. Exercise is important for both of you, the caregiver and the care receiver. Are there a few simple exercises that the two of you could do together? His favorite was stand up, sit down. Boy, he could do a lot of those. Are there household chores that the person could do with you and receive the satisfaction of being productive? Folding clothes, scrubbing something, unloading the dishwasher, those kinds of things. Is a short walk available? Both of you would benefit from a short walk. How about computer activities? Will they work? If not, how about watching an old show like Andy Griffith or Gunsmoke? The Tubi network runs old shows all day long. Is there someone that could talk with your person for a while on the phone? Would your person benefit from a short rest after lunch? I'm sure you would benefit from that. Make the schedule good for both of you. For example, something like 7 o'clock breakfast, 7:30 exercise, 8 o'clock chores, 8:30 phone call from Tom, 9 o'clock outside walk, 9:30 snack time. Do you see how I vary it? So you don't have to be with him for every single item. There's little spots made for you to take a breath. It also means that there's a definite bedtime so that there is an end to your caregiving day, because bedtime's on the whiteboard. And a few other suggestions. For you, the caregiver, schedule regular phone calls and FaceTime, perhaps after your person has gone to bed. Use video platforms to virtually meet. I'm getting to really enjoy my Zoom time. Join neighborhood groups. Attend free online activities. And then there are those caregiver hotlines that Lori mentioned. And for both of you, explore the Age website. It is always full of good information.
The next two screens show the references that we used in today's presentation. We would like to thank you for choosing to attend our presentation today. Please feel free to reach out to Age of Central Texas if you are in need of any caregiver resources. We are definitely here to serve and support you in your caregiving journey.
Well, thank you so very much, Lori. Thank you so much, Faith, for all that great information. This is your chance now. We would love to hear from you. Ask those questions. We've got two fantastic experts here on caregiving, and so let us share some knowledge and experience with you. I want to point out, Lori and Faith, you mentioned the Age of Central Texas website. That has a wealth of information, of resources that we have curated for you. There is a whole page of caregiver resources where we have links to articles and videos and other existing wonderful databases all over the country, that tons of information that you can access. In addition, we have created a whole list of activities that you can do and that you can share with your loved one. We have looked through tons of lists. I think currently there's about 400 items on there of great things that you can do. You can go and visit museums all over the world virtually. You can look at live feeds of animals all over the world. There's tons of things that you can download of word games and coloring sheets, just on and on and on. And we're updating that list each week with new items. So if you're ever at a loss of something to do, go to the website, at the Age website, because there's tons of information there that can help you out. We do have some questions here and would love to answer those for you. First of all, we have a question about tips on getting a loved one into a schedule. How do you get the person into a regular routine, and specifically how that can help with getting them into bed at bedtime?
Okay, I'll try to answer that, and then Lori can add in information if she wishes. At first, when you start the routine, there's a learning curve, and you have to be consistent. When I started developing our routine, first of all, I would ask him for input and ask him, what kinds of things do you want in the routine? As much as you can involve the other person, it helps that person to feel an ownership to it. And then when we got our routine all written down, we went over it together, looked at everything and made sure that he understood and he liked it and it was all good. And then for a few days, it was a little slow. We'd have to go back to the board all the time to see what was coming up next, or he would complain about something on there, so we would make a few changes. It probably took us a good week to get to the point where we were rocking along. As far as the bedtime question, I did with him like I did as a parent. I started our bedtime routine early. As I mentioned in the presentation, we had our little routine where he watched a TV show, and then it was bath time and pajamas, and then he had pills to take. I would take him to his room, and I would give him a small, quiet activity to do while I kind of put things away and got us ready for bed. And then he would go to the restroom one last time, and I'd get him tucked into bed. So think of the kinds of things that you would normally do for your children. It works with us adults too.
Yeah, and Rona agrees with you. She says that consistency is the key.
Mhm.
Yeah, so, all human beings, we learn by repetition. And so if we, just repeat the process over and over, then it becomes part of our normal routine.
Mhm.
We had one question of someone who was saying that they were having trouble trying to locate resources in another county. And so I wanted to just point out a great resource for everybody who's watching, and that is your Area Agency on Aging. So they are the pass-through money of the Older Americans Act. And so in every single square inch of the U.S. is served by an Area Agency on Aging. So you can just go online, search for Area Agency on Aging and your county or your city, and it will tell you which one serves you. And they provide the free resources as well that they can help you find those resources in the city where you are and help connect you to those. That's very helpful, especially for folks who are doing long distance caregiving. You may live here and mom may be in Lubbock and you're needing to find resources for her there. Your Area Agency on Aging is going to be a tremendous resource for you on how to help connect those dots for you for all that information. Had a question here about if either of you have any experience on obsessive chewing in late stage Alzheimer's. I know that we have a course that we offer called Savvy Caregiver that is dementia specific for caregiving. And so a person is asking about some tips on how to deal with those types of problems that come up later in the dementia journey.
I would definitely say to check with their physician for some guidance on that and see what their doctor suggests. That is really the best thing we do. Faith, would you agree?
Oh, I would. And I just want to put a plug in for using that advice for so many things. Anytime that there is some behavior that is different, it's new to you, and you just are kind of, wow, I don't know what to do about that. It is always good to check with your doctor. I have a funny story about me learning that lesson. Yeah, and Lori is smiling because you know the story I'm going to tell. I'm glad I learned the lesson early on, and I'll share with you how I learned that. My sister, who lives in Minnesota, is a retired geriatric nurse. So she's my information center, okay? I've got her phone number memorized. That's who I call. So I had a really bad night. I got scared beyond belief because he got up during the night and he went outside. And that scared me to the ultimate. And so my mind was racing. Okay, we've got to get an alarm, we've got to get a special lock. And I'm calling my sister and I'm just rattling off, where do you get these kinds of equipment so I don't have to worry about it in the middle of the night? And she is saying to me, take a deep breath. This is the first time it's happened. Don't run off and get equipment right away, but call his doctor immediately and see what he suggests. So I called the doctor, we had an appointment, and the doctor just tweaked his medicines. He added something new, modified something old, and we never had the problem again. Now, I could have been running all over the place trying to get equipment. I didn't need to do that. So remember that when you're in panic mode, check with the doctor first.
That's why that good medical team, having that in place is really important. So that if something comes up, you're able to, you have somewhere to go to call and say, this is going on. Can you make some suggestions? Absolutely.
And also that lends to the importance of support groups by having another, set of ears like Faith with your sister, having the ability to discuss this with other caregivers who are going through a lot of the same things. And one, it's great just to be able to get it out, to vent it out, because, you got it off your chest, so you feel much better personally. But then you've got that great feedback from other caregivers who are working through a lot of the same scenarios.
And that's why support groups are so helpful.
And we have a list of all of the support groups throughout the Central Texas area on our website. You can access that. We're also going to send that to you when we send you the resources after this session. I also failed to mention, we're going to send you a PDF copy of the slides that Lori and Faith used. I know a couple people have been asking about some of the resources that were listed on there. We're going to send you the PDF so that you can look back through it and you'll have that for reference to go back on. Another person was asking if it was okay if they shared these resources and the AGE website with other people in other parts of the country. Yes, please. There is the information that is there. There is some that is very specific to the Central Texas area because that's where we serve, but there is a lot of national resources listed on there as well. And so all of that is available. And I also wanted to make a plug for the Age of Central Texas Resource and Information Center. We offer free one-on-one assistance for all caregivers, no matter where you live. You can call us, you can email us, we can set up a virtual chat just like this, and we can provide you that one-on-one navigation and assistance no matter what it is that you need. And no matter where you are in your journey. That's why we're here and that's why we exist. And that also leads me to one more thing I want to make sure that everybody watching understands, and it was pointed out in the slides, and that is always ask for help. Laura, you said that so well, and Faith, I know that you preach that as well. There is never, ever any shame in asking for help. We're human beings, and in this caregiving journey, new things are going to crop up that we don't know how to handle. That's okay. But asking for the help, calling someone who can help you, that is the best thing you can ever do. Don't feel like that you're ever alone in this journey. You have organizations like Age of Central Texas, like the Area Agency on Aging, who are here specifically to help you in that journey. Ladies, would you agree?
Oh, yeah. But one of the other things I would add, for me, it was sometimes hard to find people who would actually help with caregiving. But it was such a light bulb moment for me to realize that if I just had people helping with some non-caregiving chores, that helped me in my caregiving because I could focus more of my time and energy on caregiving.
Right. And I know, Faith, you have said before in our discussions that when you reach out to family, be prepared in the event that they say no.
Mm-hmm.
No.
You have to expect that.
Yeah.
It just can happen. And they're being honest with you. And so you can just say, thank you. Thank you for telling me that. And sometimes if you are respectful of them, the conversation will move along a bit and they'll offer something else that they're more comfortable with.
Right. Not all of us are made to be caregivers, and that's okay. That's all right. But we can all be good people and we can all help in the way that we can.
And I think another tip, Rob, is to be very specific when you're asking for help. Yes, I'm asking you to sit with Bob, or yes, I'm asking you for a phone call. And it could be as short as, and this is what it would look like.
Mm-hmm.
The more concrete you make it, the more they can evaluate whether or not they can do it.
That's so very true, because a lot of times when we're asking for help, we're asking, can you come sit with Mom for 30 minutes while I run to the grocery store? in the person's mind, they're thinking, well, what am I going to do for 30 minutes? I don't know what to do during that time. Can you come and sit with mom while mom watches her TV show? Or help mom color the pages in the coloring book, something, real specific, so the other person can visualize it and go, okay, yeah, I can do that. Because for a lot of folks who don't have any experience in caregiving, or even any experience in being around an older adult who is having a cognitive or physical issue, it can be very scary for them to think, I'm going to be alone with this person, what am I going to do? It's the same thing as when you go visit the relative with a newborn baby and they're like, you want to hold the baby? And you're like, no, I'm terrified of touching the baby. It's it's a lot of the same fear and apprehension. And so I think that's great advice, Faith, to be specific about what you need. I need to mow the lawn, it looks terrible. Will you come and help sit with mom while she has lunch so I can run outside and mow the lawn? They might say, I'll mow the lawn for you, and problem solved. I am looking at some of this great information here. One person is suggesting of making a list of things that your person can do. I know, Faith, you mentioned that. That's such a great idea. So that when someone asks, what can I do to help? You can say, Bob really likes to do his word searches. Can you come over while he's doing that so that I can go put all the pills in the bottle, or whatever needs to do? And so then you've got already some ammunition ready to go. When you're looking for some assistance, you can say, here's a list of things that they would like to do. You were talking, Faith, about changing the medication with your husband. One of the folks on today says that they have wonderful news along that, that they're caregiving for their father, who is 82, and moving him out of his apartment of 22 years into a new place. And so then got involved with his health care, and his memory had diminished in a brief time, and realized that it was an issue with the medications that they were taking. So pushed the physician, and after 3 visits, got the point across. And so now that Dad is down from 36 meds to 7, and has made just a world of difference. And that's a good point, Lori. I know that you have a great presentation that you do on I'm a Caregiver, Now What? And we're going to be presenting that once again at the first of the year. But you talk about how medical management is so important, because as we grow older, we are seeing more and more doctors. So most of us have 2 or 3 doctors that we're seeing, and those doctors don't always communicate in terms of medication. And so that medical management is so important, to understand that if Dr. A is prescribing this, that Dr. C and D understand all the meds that are taken, because the crossovers of medications can cause so many problems.
I think another tip, and Lori says it sometimes, but for doctors that you're taking your person to, they can give you a summary of the office visit, and it usually includes the medications, and those summaries are so nice then to give to the next doctor.
Right. You can just ask the doctor's nurse for that, and they'll make photocopies of that for you.
Yeah.
And if you have all that information, the next time you need to go to a doctor, they're going to ask you what's been going on, and then you have that summary. You can just hand it over. And of course, the list of all the medications that your care receiver is taking, and the date you last updated it, so the doctor looking at it knows how current is this. But yes, there could be all kinds of medications from different specialists, and it's nice to be able to have one list with everything on it.
And of course, those are things that you want to keep in your binder. and keep that binder, by the front door. So whenever you're going to the doctor's office, you just pick up the binder, take it with you, and you've got all of your information there.
Absolutely.
Well, Lori, Faith, thank you so much for joining us today, for sharing all of your wisdom and experience. We appreciate it very much. We appreciate you at home for joining us today and being a part of this presentation. Remember, Age of Central Texas is here to help you no matter where you are in your journey. That's why we exist. So contact us and let us be of service to you. We thank the City of Buda and the Seniors Task Force on Aging for joining with us today. Plug for the City of Buda, they are offering free COVID testing for caregivers. Call City Hall and they can give you more information on that. And this year, the annual Lights in the Park is going to be a drive-through. And so there's a great activity right there that you can do with your loved one. Get in the car and drive through the holiday lights and enjoy that together. We thank you so much once again for joining us. Watch your emails. We're going to be sending you all of those resources that we promised, along with a link to this whole presentation as soon as we have it uploaded to YouTube. And we will be here whenever you need us. We hope that you have a wonderful Thanksgiving, a great holidays, and we will see you again very soon. Everyone, take care and be safe.